The question this video will be answering is, in what ways does your media product use, develop, or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? Firstly, let's look at cast and characters. By looking at modern mainstream examples of zombie films, it is clear to see that casts are hugely made up of white actors. For example, with World War Z, we see Brad Pitt taking the protagonist role, and in Zombieland we also have the likes of Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg, and Emma Stone, who also fulfill the protagonist roles. Unconscious therefore conforms to the conventions of these already existing media products, and allows Unconscious to fit in with the trends seen in mainstream zombie films, featuring white male protagonists. This therefore allows Unconscious to cater towards a mainstream demographic. Now I will look at the conventions of narrative. Specifically, I will be looking more closely at the opening sequence of other already existing media products. Let's look at Zombieland and World War Z again. Their opening sequences jump straight into the narrative. Similarly, Shaun of the Dead foreshadows the zombie event which occurs soon after the title sequence. Unconscious mirrors this, but also begins with slight equilibrium, which is actually a trend seen in other horror films, but not necessarily zombie films. This therefore challenges a convention of the zombie film genre. If we were to directly compare Unconscious to another film, like Shaun of the Dead, we will definitely be able to see parallels. Unconscious begins with a state of equilibrium, but slowly descends into chaos. Shaun of the Dead, however, uses a title sequence to foreshadow an apocalyptic zombie event, then settles for equilibrium only to begin to descend into chaos once again. Now let's look at the conventions of micro-features in zombie films. The cinematography used in Unconscious was directly taken and inspired by the conventions seen in other horror films. For example, a high-angle shot was used, just like in this shot from 28 Days Later, in the scene where the protagonist is running away from the zombies. This allows the protagonist to feel inferior to the looming threat. In terms of editing, Unconscious takes a different approach to other zombie films that we've looked at. For example, in Zombieland, titles are integrated into the opening title sequence, which in itself is a montage edit. This can also be said for Shaun of the Dead. Unconscious, however, takes a different approach and simply has a fade-in edit for titles at the end of the opening chase scene. Unconscious uses a soundtrack which is usually comprised of synthesizers, which I created in GarageBand. This synthesized noise is intended to mirror that is used in the likes of Shaun of the Dead, which in itself is paying homage to earlier zombie movie classics. In addition, percussion is taken, which mirrors that of the likes of Plan 9 from Outer Space, another film I analysed. Finally, if we compare the use of mise-en-scène, it is clear that in other zombie films that already exist, sets are generally much larger. Take 28 Days Later and compare these shots. 28 Days Later uses a larger public space, which has clearly been booked specifically for the shooting of the film. Unconscious, however, does not have that much production value.